Well, we begin with that breaking news from northern Nigeria, where more than 300 kidnapped schoolboys have now arrived in Katsina city, where they'll be reunited with their families. They'll be checked over first by doctors, though. Remember, those boys were taken a week ago by gunmen who are thought to be linked to Boko Haram. Those gunmen raided their school. Let's get more now from Al Jazeera's Ahmed Idris, who joins us now live from Katsina. And Ahmed, this is some rare good news for parents in the area. Just talk us through what's happened.
In fact, indeed, good news for many parents who were longing to see their wards. And of course, we got wind of this since yesterday when, shortly after an interview on Al Jazeera, the governor of Katsina State informed Al Jazeera that, in fact, I just got news that 340 students have now been released to Nigerian security forces. Then later he called to say 4 more have been added to the list. So they are bringing home 340. We were expecting them to arrive. Earlier yesterday, we were in Kankara. We met some parents, some who found their kids and others, many others, in fact, who are looking for their sons, taken by these bandits, as the authorities here call them. So eventually, when we got to hear of this good news, I called some of them and I asked them what will be their reaction if they are told that their sons have regained their freedom and are now securely in the hands of Nigerian security forces. They jumped for joy. One parent actually wept on the phone. And I told them that the news is we are expecting their arrival in Katsina. So today what happened here, 344 of them walked past us, all of them. None of them had any shoes on. They limped past us, some with blisters on their feet, some with really trauma and fear. Despite them regaining freedom, you can spell trauma and fear on their faces, because these are children who have gone through what no ordinary child must be allowed to go through. They are really traumatized. And shortly after their arrival, they walked into the building behind me now, and there they met the governor of the state, along with security officers from the military, the police, paramilitary organizations, and other officials. And now they are getting ready to be shipped out from this location, the governor's office, to a safe location where they'll be checked physically, mentally, and they'll be assessed. We understand that the president is going to meet them before he finally leaves for the federal capital in Abuja at the end of his 7-day vacation here in Katsina State. So a lot of parents are really looking forward to reuniting with their wards they've missed for more than a week. But the experience here, I can tell you, is really traumatizing for these young children. Absolutely,
a shocking ordeal for any child to go through. And let's not forget, Ahmed, school kidnappings have become relatively common in Nigeria. Not all of them have the happy ending that you're describing. In terms of the kidnapping of these schoolboys, what can you tell us about their release? Do we know anything about the negotiation to end this, or was there some kind of ransom paid, which might suggest the fact this was resolved so quickly?
That information, the authorities here are keeping very close to their chest. I pushed the governor yesterday to give us an idea of exactly what happened. What he can say, what he told me yesterday was that the first day they know when the boys were taken, there was really an engagement between Nigerian security forces and these bandits after the security forces located them in a particular forest and then pinned them down for a period of 6 days. That was when negotiations set in. The government was actually afraid that continuous fighting or fire exchanges between the two sides will result in casualties on the part of the students. They don't want collateral damage. And then they found intermediaries to go between the government and the bandits, holding them. And the biggest success of this story, the biggest lead to this story, was how the security forces and whoever is involved in this process were able to stop this from degenerating into what we saw nearly 7 years ago on 14th of February 2014, when there was no immediate action. when 270 girls were taken from a secondary school in Chibok. Because of that delay, that short window allowed Boko Haram to move these girls to different locations, some across the border into neighboring countries. And that became so difficult for the security forces to even engage and recover these girls. As we speak today, more than 100 of them are still unaccounted for. So the government on this part agreed and told us in plain terms that they are not negotiating with bandits, and they have not paid ransom for this. But it will be so interesting to know how they were able to achieve this feat within 6 or 7 days, and the children are back home.
Indeed. Tell us, Ahmed, about what do we know about the perpetrators? Will there be any justice? Have any of them been brought into custody? And will they face justice of any kind?
Well, basically, I'm not sure if there have been some arrests. If there are any, the security forces are not talking about it. But what we've seen over the years, for example, Boko Haram, we've seen how the government was forced to negotiate with these people, although through intermediaries, that led to the release of certain number of girls by Boko Haram and certain individuals being held in Boko Haram captivity. But right now, the security forces are not talking about arrest or detentions. We are waiting to hear from them how that has ended. Were there any arrests? Were there any fighting? Were there any casualties on the side of the bandits, or any other development regarding that? So we're waiting to hear from the security forces. I approached one of the divisional commanders of the Nigerian army in Sokoto. I approached him for a short interview. He said no.
OK, well, we'll leave you now to keep pursuing him, Ahmed. But for now, thank you very much indeed for bringing us all the very latest on what has to be said is a rare bit of good news for parents in Katsina. Ahmed Idris, thank you.